Welcome back to the program. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime has raised concerns as over 1 million crimes related to violence against women and girls were recorded in 2022 and 2023, accounting for 20% of all police-recorded crimes. The country representative of UNODC Nigeria, Sheikh Toure, mentioned this in Abuja at the launch of 16 Days of Activism campaign. Joining me in the studio for more on this is President, Femo Foundation, Fatima Bashir. Good to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, indeed. And the 16 Days of Activism is back. We mark this like every year.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes. And then, of course, we get some. Yes, started yesterday. So talk to us about this. What's the significance of this 16-day-long campaign?
I say it all the time that sometimes, well, you had already accused me of having to get me to stop. Sometimes it seems like we don't say it enough. We don't push enough about, fighting against every form of violence against the girl child and the woman. It looks like we're not doing enough. So this 16 days, we do it every year. It's a yearly event. And for us, I think it's like hammering on one particular thing. There's a Yoruba adage that says, if you keep hammering on something, there's something that you intend to bring out. So I think, yes, that's length of time because it's not even enough. But that length of time would give us a leverage for you to know that something is going on. And indeed, the theme for this year is unite. We're uniting, we're stopping everything that we're doing. We're coming together as one united voice, and we're saying we're stopping every form of violence against the girl child and against the woman.
How bad is the situation in Nigeria?
Not so bad.
Okay, so it means that there's some progress already.
Oh, yes, there's progress. You would find out that a lot of people are beginning to speak up. In time past, we never really had, people would have the guts to come out and say, oh, I was violated, I was raped, and something happened. They couldn't talk about it. But it's better now because they know that they can lend their voice. That a lot of people were listening to them. So, it's much better here. It's better here. People are beginning to find their voices. And women are now coming out to say, I am going through domestic violence. I have been violated. Emotional abuse, psychological abuse, even financially, you can abuse women. So women now know their rights and they're coming out to speak.
All right. When this issue came up yesterday,
yes,
some folks mentioned, you people are always talking about women. Women, once it's domestic or sexual gender-based violence, you're talking women.
Yes.
What about men who are the receiving end?
Well, some men actually are going through some form of abuse, and that's the bitter truth, because I've had reasons to speak to men who were raped who were violated as, 6-year-old, 5-year-old. So, but the thing is, the percentage of women who are being violated and the way that we're wired and seen as the weaker sex. So we tend to, concentrate more on the women. Basically, that's what it is. But I do agree that some men are actually violated, and that's the truth.
So let's talk about what we can do to help the situation. Time to act is now. So what kinds of actions are required on our parts?
Well, I think the actions required on our parts are most of the things that we're doing. We're clamoring, creating awareness, speaking to people, letting them know that they've got a right. There are bodies put in place that are fighting for women, defending every woman and every girl child who has gone through some kind of abuse or who have been violated. That is not to say that we don't have people who would come and say, oh, this happened to us. And, you find some of the stories are not particularly true, but we have bodies, there are legal bodies were speaking up. Their NGOs were taking it upon themselves to say, if you find out a couple of months back, one girl was beaten to a pulp. Yeah, I think they poured hot water on her or something. She was, housemaid or something in the house. And the neighbors spoke out. So now they know that there are bodies who listen. There are bodies who fight. And then the government is more alert. The government is standing firm about defending the rights of every woman. So I think that's beautiful. And more measures are expected, but so far, so good.
And what drives your passion for this cause?
I'm very gender sensitive. I'm gender biased. That's what Fatima is. Fatima is, and for me, my activism is not about gender equality. I don't believe in equality. I believe in equity, because there's really nothing you can do about the headship of a man. I'm one woman who believes that the man is the head, the woman is the neck, even if the neck stabilizes the head. But hey, it's a man's world whether we like it or not. So I'm just passionate about people, passionate about women and girls, I want to ensure that we can speak above whispers. So that's my passion.
All right. So would you want to share, any particular stories that you have encountered, through your engagement or personal experience?
A lot. There was one that I spoke about on my YouTube channel, and it was a woman who's been married for 17 years, and the man constantly beats her up. It's so bad that even the young son stood up to his father with a knife. And for me, I said to her, there are two things. Get out of this marriage. Seek help. Speak out. It's beyond just, telling me and me telling people. Speak out, because two things are going to happen. You're either going to die or you're going to have to face a murder case, because your son is a beast in the making. You're already rearing a beast who thinks, one day I'm going to stand up truly for my mother. And it will be a day that the father is not even touching the mother. He will just go to where the father is sleeping and just stab the father to death. And then the mother will own up for the mother, because she probably doesn't want her child to go to prison. So, and I think that things are getting better, because after I have said that, a lot of women have come back inbox to say, oh, I'm going through similar experience. And I've, given them numbers and contacts of NGOs that are fighting, that can talk and speak, for them and make a case for them and ensure that no matter how much fear that has been created into them, you can't find people who would speak up for you and then douse every fear that is in you.
In addressing different cases, there have been calls for localized solutions.
Yes.
Solutions that are tailor-made, to the community.
Yes.
So, for instance, we talk about a case where one of the spouses is being abused.
Okay.
We are in a culture, that identifies, for instance, that once you're married, you're married.
You're married, yes.
Your father doesn't
want
to...
for better, for
worse. Or for worse, yes. Your father doesn't want to see you, returning to his home.
No, I mean, he
Some
would
parents
rather...
chase, go back. You
Yes.
got married.
Go and die there.
You can't come back. So how do we, address that?
It goes down back to making... You see, I say that I keep creating awareness and speaking to people. Every time I'm at a fora that I need to speak, I speak to the parents basically first and then the children. I said, listen to me, it's better to have your child back alive than brought home in a coffin. A lot of women now know that they can speak up. In time past, domestic violence and abuse are things of shame. So they keep quiet, they endure all the pain. And then you find elites who would have wounds on their faces. And what happened to you? Oh, I just brushed my face against the wall. They are ashamed. They don't want to say it. Sometimes it's not even out of love for their spouses. It is, I don't want the world to think that I brought out my husband. Some men have intimidated us so much so that they say, whatever it is you are going through in your marriage, keep it in your marriage. Even if you're dying, your home is your home, your marriage, don't tell anybody about it. And that has amounted for a lot of mental health cases, breakouts that we have. Women speak up. It doesn't matter how much the men are trying to cow you into, shutting you up, that don't talk about it. Just take it in. It's okay. Women are meant to be strong. Hey, a lot of the depression cases that we have are women who had opportunity to speak up against violence, against being violated in their homes, but who were shut up by parents, by, not wanting to be exposed or not wanting to be judged by the society.
But also, that to speak up, people
Yes.
want confidentiality. They want to be sure that whatever information they share,
Yes, I agree.
is private.
It's not everybody who actually wants confidentiality. Now, a lot of people do not mind to speak up. In speaking up, you cannot even say, oh, speak up and come and speak up in confidence. No. What's confidential about being abused? You will just die. The death is not going to be confidential. So now they know that we can speak up and really say it the way that it is. We are being violated and we're saying a no to it. That violence must stop.
All right. And it's good to really see different voices speaking.
Oh, a lot of NGOs.
The First Lady, for instance.
Oh, yes, she's doing a lot. She's been at the forefront. She's been talking about it. She's always been a mother who believes in the girl child and, she does everything for the girl child.
Yeah, and it's actually on the screen. I'll just quickly read that out. I urge us to seize this period as a call to action for each of us to challenge harmful behaviors.
A lot of harmful behaviors.
You want to list some of those behaviors?
Sometimes, like I said to you, I talked about mental health. The very first thing that gets destroyed is the mental health of a woman. You're in a home and traditional inhibitions, cultural, religious, says that you don't have a voice in your home. And that's where it starts. You're being damaged. You are being cowed into just keeping quiet, assimilating and tolerating everything, and then there's nothing you can do. It starts with gender. You know, I was reading a book some time ago. You know, they talk about violation starts from a man raising his voice against you. It's not as much as hitting you. If he raises his voice against you, he has violated you. So it's about them knowing. And so a lot of bodies are saying, this is it. This is how much you can take. This is how much you should stop. This is where you should draw the line. We're talking to religious leaders. I mean, we're telling the Muslims, oh, yes, this is what the Holy Quran says. But hey, the Quran hasn't said die there. We're talking to pastors. We're talking to traditionalists that marriage is supposed to be sweet. The moment it gets to a point where we're being tolerated rather than celebrated in a home, it is time to speak up and get help.
All right, so it's time to speak up, and that help is actually
available. A lot of ministries go to Lagos State. I mean, I'm going to speak for Lagos State. They have, you know, a ministry that would deal with anything that you bring with, talks about women violation, and they stand, you know, Office of the Public Defender, they defend you.
All right, so it's day 2 of that campaign,
day 2 today.
And I hope that, you know, as we get to the end,
yes,
not only are the women speaking about this, we also have the he for she.
Oh, there are a lot of he for she's who have spoken, yes.
Joining
a lot of, so I'm
campaign.
celebrating all the he for she's who have taken out their time to work for us and say, I stand with you.
That's amazing. President, Femo Foundation, Fatima Bashir, thank you very much for your time on the program.
You're most welcome, ma'am.
Well, that's our program today. A repeat broadcast would come up at midnight, and at 6 a.m. you can watch if you missed any part of this. I am Abosede Adenero Aderemi. Bye for now.